going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Life of a Sim Racer. My name is Brandon. I'm going to be your host tonight. And with me tonight, I have my two co-hosts, the driver of the number 4 Ford Mustang Race Lab, Mr. Nick Silver, and, as you guys can see, the big wreck that's about to ensue in the background, as he's showing his car as well. Driver of the number 66 Life of a Sim Racer Chevrolet, Mr. Brandon 6. Sorry that people got to see that already, but how are you guys doing this weekend?
Very good. Glad to be back as always.
Yep, doing well.
Great to hear. So, this past Monday, we ran at Road America. It was for 31 laps, no cautions, and as you guys saw at the very beginning, big junk at the beginning. Actually, now I think about it, the same thing happened at Coda. At the first road course we did of the season, same thing. And Jay was, our teammate, was also involved in that, which is also weird. But this race was, like I said, was 31 laps, and it was pretty eventful at the first lap. There's definitely some stuff that happens that hopefully the camera will be able to pick up, like Tom Wetmore getting loose there. But we only have really one clip for this week, but there's enough action on the track that the camera's definitely going to pick up the rest of the stuff that we didn't necessarily get to or really talk about. So, I guess we will, as usual, we'll dive right into it. We're gonna start with our highest finisher of the week, folks. Guess what? That was actually me, for once.
Yay!
I couldn't even tell you the last time I actually get to go first. So I will start off with basically how the week went. We had been practicing Road America for 2 weeks, I believe, because there was an off week in between from the last race that we did. I could be wrong, but I believe that's how that went. Anyway, I know we have been practicing for a couple of weeks. And, you know, when we got this here at Road America, I wasn't the fastest. I think 6 out the gate was fast as usual. And there was a lot of things we had to learn, again, because last race was to focus on the new damage model, and everything like that. So we were still trying to learn like the nuances of how much damage can we actually get before the car starts to break things, and before you have to get a meatball, which means that you actually have to pit and fix your car. You know, so there was a little bit of a learning curve with that, but you know, after kind of learning that, kind of getting the idea how much the car can take, you know, we kind of just strapped down and started to really focus on, you know, just trying to be quick. I really wasn't worried about trying to be the fastest car out there. I was just, honestly, I just trying to finish. I think quite a few of us knew, or probably the whole field, really knew that Danson was probably going to be the guy that we had to chase. And Cody was probably going to have to be another one. But, you know, we felt like we had decent speed. So, you know, going into the race, I, you know, was honestly first lap was just trying to get around the first turn. Agnew Phillip kind of made an aggressive move, hit the grass, kind of hit 6, and we'll talk about that later, but he hit 6 and kind of pushes me off the track. You know, I didn't have any damage from it, but you know, a lot of other guys did. So, but other than that, you know, it was pretty quiet. I think I fell back to 12th, and I'm sorry, I actually qualified top 10, somewhere like that. So after they're going off or whatever, I fell back a little bit. Had the speed to make up the spots, which was good. So I was able to make it all the way up to, I believe, 5th or 6th. So I went ahead and started to make my moves and started to work my way up there. Once I got the 6th place, not primary 6, but once I got to that position, for the most part, I just kind of just held my own and just trying to click off laps. Noticed that I was actually a couple laps. I was actually faster than Danson, who was the leader at that time. So honestly, like I said, I was just trying to stay on track. Went ahead, and since it was only 31 laps, and for some reason, as you can see another wreck in the background with the 13, is we had, for some reason, the tires didn't fall off. Well, let me clarify. The tires would wear, but the 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 lap times would not drop. So you were basically hot lapping every lap for 31 laps. Is basically what you were doing. So as the fuel burnt off, because because the lap time didn't drop off, you actually got faster. So it was a point in time where I was like, okay, I just need to take it easy after I pit because the tires are already gonna be warm. But it was one key thing that I forgot that I did before I pitted, which was I adjusted the brake bias. So after pitting and running my opening lap, when I came back around to go back into turn one, because turn one is a high-speed, hard-braking corner, because I didn't adjust my brake bias back, I basically blew through the corner, went through the sand trap, had to drive through it, lost a boatload of time. I was actually catching Kevin King at the time, which I believe he was 4th at the time. So I was actually catching him, so I was actually feeling pretty good. Went off, tried to refocus or whatever. Went into the 3rd to 4th corner, another long straightaway, hit the brake, it did the same exact thing. And by that time I actually hit the tie burrs. So at that point I'm pissed, because I've now made 2 mistakes, and I've basically lost 10 seconds alone to Kevin King at the time. So I have our eyes in the sky BP. So he's trying to calm me down and everything like that. Like, hey, just hit your marks or whatever. And basically that's just basically what he did for me for the whole end of the race. So I ended up finishing 4th. Michael Johnson actually got collected in that race, as I said earlier, and he actually came back and passed me and finished 3rd. So, hell of a run by him. So I finished 4th. Incidents that I still need to clean up. I don't know, like I did the same crap last year, exactly the exact same thing at Road America here last year. Blew the corner after adjusting the brake bias and forgot to readjust and, just hit the wall. So, I gotta clean those mistakes up. Maybe if I clean up those mistakes, maybe I actually, finish 2nd for the first time at a road course in this league. But it's all learning things that I have to work on, and hopefully the next road course maybe I can do that. So, other than that, like I said, it wasn't very eventful besides really the first lap and the 2 off-course excursions that I went through. Other than that was pretty much it. So, as we continue to move on, we're gonna move on to the next person who finished right behind me at 6th. You finished P5 after, I think they said you fell back all the way to 31st, 32nd or something like that, which is absolutely crazy that you made it all the way back up to 5th. But go ahead and let them know how you did it.
Yeah, like you were saying, as always, we do our practice sessions kind of a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead, depending on how our schedule works. Obviously working with you, MJ, a couple other guys at practice. Basically, we kind of had speed right off the get-go. It was just honestly fine-tuning our braking points and trying to optimize as much speed as possible out of these cars. Kind of like what you were saying with the tire, the way the tire is right now on road courses, it has wear, it just doesn't fall off for whatever reason. So yeah, it just tends to get faster and faster and faster. And then heck, by the time you do a pit stop and not change tires, you even get way faster. Like that's probably the hardest thing with this, the way this tire currently works. It's actually a lot of fun to drive in some ways, even though it doesn't have fall off, because you're constantly having to change your braking points a little bit because the car gets more and more grip, and you're having to push the car even harder. I think we started the race off at like running like 211s, and at the end of the race, I was running almost low 209s, so almost a 2-second pickup from the start of the race to the end, which is crazy. But as you explained with Agnell at the start of this race, got hit by him early on going turn one. Unfortunately, took me, MJ, a handful of other cars, and I guess I have to. I didn't realize it until obviously watching the replay here at the beginning, but I guess I gave Andrew some damage when I accidentally backed up. I didn't realize I was in reverse because I was in the moment, like I am pissed off in the head, like you're not even thinking. You just want to get turned around as soon as possible and like just get going, because obviously we don't have cautions, so you kind of have to get moving. And I guess I collected Andrew there a little bit, so throw an apology out to him for kind of ruining his race. But once I got going, yeah, I was like 32nd. I think I was like 29 seconds behind the leader when I finally got turned around and going. Once I got going, of course, I was irritated the entire race, and I was a man on a mission. Basically just pushing the car to its full limits and just not caring if I wrecked it or not. And unfortunately, anybody who was in my way, I was not going to deal with you very long, is the way my race was going. So if you weren't going to really give me the spot after I caught you for many, many seconds back, I was just going to drive through you, basically. That was my mindset.
That's why I'm quickly out of the way.
Yeah, I was, like I said, quite irritated. So making good lap time, was comparing my lap times to Danson, who was basically the quickest all race. And I mean, there was positives I could take from it coming through that race. There was times I was definitely quicker than Danson when I actually had a clean track, and then times we were even. So it's just one of those things. If I don't get taken out there, like, I actually think for once, I know for myself and even maybe for MJ, I think we actually had something for Danson for once. I don't think we would have definitely like pulled away or anything, but I think it would definitely been a hard fought battle for the lead and made it an interesting race for sure. Because from my aspect, I consider myself a decent road racer, but not like Danson level. At least not yet. I'm trying to get myself there and make these races more interesting, but I know at some point we'll have some more topics of how to make maybe some racing more interesting for RSR and in future. So, but as the race went on, finally, like I said, got up to 5th, and I think I was like 2 or 3 seconds behind you when I got to 5th. So I think if I had another handful of laps, I think 4th was about as far as I was going to get if we had some more laps. But yeah, it's kind of one of those races, what could have been. So I'll definitely take the positives from it and move on.
Yeah, well, I know this. You saying that was fun? Nah, I don't. That wasn't fun. But hey, that, you know, if it was fun for you, great. It was not fun for me. I don't like hot lapping every damn lap. And in my opinion, that's the way how this tire works right now. That's just kind of unacceptable. Like, in no way should we be, you know, gaining time. 'Cause I'm so confused on what just happened here in the background. With the 2 car, but at no point, you know, do I feel like we should that we should be doing anything like this. We should have some type of fall off or something. But go ahead. I know you were trying to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just saying when I mean like having when it's fun, like with the old gen car, in my opinion, I don't know, it was never really truly fun to drive on road courses. There's something about the way this tire works or the way this car works on road courses, but it's actually it kind of, for me personally, it kind of has a feeling of like a GT3 car, but a lot heavier. And I think that's why I kind of take to it a little bit. And the reason I kind of like it is because it kind of has more of a road feeling. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Like, I wish it had the fall off because either way, it's still gonna be fun. Like, once we have the fall off, the racing's still there. It's still gonna be fun. It's just, I think right now it's fun just from an aspect of it's a car that's fun to drive, not necessarily because it's like it gets faster and faster kind of thing.
Okay.
You can actually race it on a road course instead of ice skating from the beginning like the old car.
Yes, like I think there was
the old car was pretty much just trying not to wreck, and whoever could do that and still be fast. And now it's actually like a real race car on the road.
Yeah, I mean, like I know during our practice sessions, I don't know if I actually actually got it that far out, but after the kink, there was a couple times like in the old car, if you got your tire like left rear tire off in the grass there, it more than likely wrecked you. Where with this car and this tire, you actually can get it out into the grass and not wreck it, basically, or at least you have a chance to save it. Like, I'm not saying you can't wreck it, but like at least it steps out and there's like some kind of traction still there. It's a lot obviously less because you're in the grass, but it doesn't it's not like it's on ice where before you'd step a tire out in the grass or in the dirt and it basically immediately wrecked you, basically. So I think there's just a lot of benefits in the right direction with this car. I mean, like I said, my only complaint is, yeah, the tire doesn't wear, but I will take a tire not wearing with the car that we currently have until iRacing, obviously, in the next build or whatever it is, gives us the ability for fall off.
Gotcha. Okay. I respect the clarification on that. I was just gonna say, nah, that's a no go. But no, I mean I understand that, and I agree. You know, it's definitely a better car to race. You know, it's still a lot to learn, especially with the brakes now. Having a little bit more adjustability in that as well. So trying to get that combination has been interesting as well. But I mean, for some of our teammates, it actually has worked out. I mean, MJ has finished, top 10 at Nashville and top 5. What was that, Nashville? Yes, Nashville. And then he finished third, at Road America. So, and that's somebody who honestly I kind of expected to be running good out the gate. So, looks like it's some settings that definitely helping him, definitely helping yourself as well. I would say Nick, but Nick, you've kind of also already been kind of quick since the beginning of the season. And look like a couple other teammates are kind of starting to get their arms around it, trying to understand what they like and what they need out of the car. So yeah, I'm definitely with you guys on that. So the person next, or last but not least, Stick Silver, you finished P14. If it wasn't for that last lap, it would have been P15. But you finished P14, so tell us how your race went and tell us how you made it happen.
Well, I felt like it was about where I always am on road courses. So I just went in with the same expectations. Like I said on the podcast last week, just look for 10th to 15th place finish, and pretty much fine with that on road courses. Just not bleed too many points when I come into these. So I was running about, I think I was I forgot where I qualified, but that first turn mayhem lost me a few spots. Kind of got in the grass there, and just kind of had to let out and safely rejoin. Lost like 4 or 5 spots, I think. So that set me a little behind. I think I was like 16th, 17th, 18th maybe for most of the race, and just kept it on the track for the rest of the race. There's a little bit of attrition, other people going off, losing spots, so I just pick them off as I could, and ended up about 13th, I think. Got passed by a couple guys, Rhett McBride being one of them, so fell to 15th, and thought Rhett was going to pull away from me, but then he kind of stalled out, like about a second or a little bit less ahead of me, and I don't know what was going on there at the end, but I ended up getting pretty close to him, and he overdrove it into turn 1, had an opportunity, threw it in there, and passed him, and was able to hold him off for that final lap, so ended up with 14th. It was just typical road course race. I was just putting around, not really much excitement happening, and so it was at least cool to be able to try to hunt down Rhett there for like the last 5 laps or so, and get to pass him. Added some excitement to it. But other than that, like I said, 10th to 15th, so 14th, we'll call it a success.
I would agree. Being that your thing is not road courses. Like you said, you basically called it last week. Hey, top 15 is your goal. And hey, you hit your goal, top 15. So props to you on staying true to basically what you said last week.
Yeah,
so,
I know myself.
hey, that's good though. A lot of people don't, and they kind of those that say, "Oh yeah, I could beat Dancing." Okay. He's a different breed on the road courses. Now, I definitely believe if we were to, practice and maybe ran road courses for a full year, then yeah, we could probably pick up a lot of stuff. But for me, I kind of gotta give respect where respect is due, and Dancing is pretty much king on these road courses. He definitely has his challengers. Cody and Liam whenever he races. And I think the new challengers would be Six and MJ. And Kevin King whenever he kind of figures out the car as well. But I think for if we don't have the incident at the beginning, I think I don't know if we win, kind of like what Six said, but I definitely think you'll have 5, 6, maybe 7 cars trying to, really challenge for the win. So I think it makes it a lot more interesting than just watching one car just go, out there and pretty much dominate the field. Which, I mean, that's not what really happened. I mean, Cody was challenging him, but unfortunately, Cody lagged out with a couple laps ago. 5 or 6 laps ago, and then so unfortunately he finished way back in the pack. 21st, I think is where he finished. Could be wrong. Somewhere in the 20s. And then basically at that point, Dancing was in a race of his own. So, but yeah, so that's how our races went. Only topic that I really want to kind of get you guys' opinion on, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with this specific race, but it has to do with the addition that was just provided to us in the build, which was being able to have more adjustability with the brakes, adjusting them, being able to adjust the front master cylinders and the rear master cylinders. In you guys' opinion, do you guys feel like that is the absolute game changer of the season? Do you think that could be the key to getting you the championship? And I guess I'll start with Nick on this one.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the difference for me between winning the championship or not, but I do think it is a helpful tool. Um, I, I guess I found a little more comfort screwing around with it for this race. I didn't really go with the settings that you guys had. I just kind of went with what felt good for me, but I'm not really sure if it would have made like a huge difference, in where I finished if I had just left it stock. But I will say at Nashville, I do believe it did make a really good difference going with the settings that you guys indicated. I adjusted a smidge from what you guys were running, but
Mm.
I think it definitely did help as far as being able to get out of the corner and being able to keep the car turning as the run went on. So yeah, I do think it's a helpful tool. There's a lot of choices with it, so you really gotta screw around with it and see what works best for you.
6?
Well, I'm pretty sure you know my answer. So
Yes, but everybody listening
um,
does not know your answer. So
yeah, I know. I've basically been asking for this adjustment since the day this car was released on iRacing, because in my mind, it's just brake adjustments. It's another tool towards basically your brake bias. That's all it really is. It's not like changing the setup or anything. So, like, to me, I was like, in my mind, like, iRacing, please give us the ability to change this. And I knew as soon as they gave us the ability, it was going to be, in my opinion, a game changer, because obviously it's driver preference. But we'll take a track, for instance, say Nashville, where I feel like most drivers probably thought that was a very tight setup.
mm-hmm.
The master cylinders adjustment basically gave you the ability to kind of counteract that tightness. Yes, the tightness is always still going to be there because it's just built into the setup, but you can manipulate the car in certain ways to get it to turn a little bit better, or to make it roll a little bit better through, say, entry or center, a little bit longer into the run. Like I said, you're never going to get rid of it. And even then, the master cylinders, like, there's a limit to it. Like, you're not going to get too crazy with it, because ultimately it's hard, because you start getting into the realm of there's a certain limit. Basically, you can't completely, like I said, completely change the car, but you can definitely get it to point in the right direction for you, from a comfort standpoint. I guess that's really what I want to say. It's more of a comfort adjustment, getting it to do something that you want out of the car as a driver, and every driver's different. I mean, we see that, like I said, like Nick just said, he usually takes our adjustments every now and then, and he'll take them to a T, or he'll slightly tweak off of them. And I know you do the same thing, Billy. Like, I'll give you, say, hey, this is what I'm running, and you might slightly tweak it. So, like I said, it's always a driver preference thing, but it's just more of a comfort. But I'm very glad we have it now, because, like I said, it opens the door of possibilities a lot more. And I think it gives the ability for better racing, in my opinion.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys feel like you would like to have? I mean, I know we'll never get the track bar. I know that for a fact.
Honestly, there's one other change I feel like I've always said I'm comfortable with them giving us the ability, because it's not, in my opinion, really affecting the setup a ton. As far as like springs and your the balance of the car in general. But tire pressures, that's the other thing I kind of been saying I wish we had, at least for fixed racing. Come down during the pit stop, be like, all right, this thing's a little tight. I can slightly tweak the tire pressures or something. But I don't see that happening. I would love it to happen, but I doubt it.
I could see some type of some type of crazy thing that somebody does, like, oh, it's tight, let me drop
Well,
the tire pressure freaking, or raise it some astronomical number or whatever. It's like, oh, that boy's flying.
well, no, and that's not like, so I guess I'll clarify it in that aspect, because I know that's the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a crazy range of tire pressures that you can choose from. To my opinion, I don't know if they can do it, but if they do it, you limit how far you can go up and down on tire pressure. Basically, you can only change it maybe a pound or two each direction, or maybe not even a pound. Like just a pound. Like you can either go up a pound or down a pound. Not much more than that.
Okay. Nick, was there anything that you would like added, or kind of a futuristic thing that you would like added to it?
No, I can't really think of anything. I think, like Six said, maybe tire pressures, small adjustments. Kind of like, I guess a good basis to go off of would be kind of like what SRX does. They all got same cars, same setups, but they can make tiny little tweaks here and there, like tire pressures and stuff. So I think that's probably a good way to go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess for the finish it off real quick, I guess my mindset is, I feel like, I'll put it this way. I feel like we should be able to make the adjustment not in the garage, but during the pit stop. If you can make tire pressure changes during a pit stop and say wedge adjustments, that's the other thing too.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's during a pit stop, I feel like you should be able to make it. But
only during the pit stop.
Only during pit stop. Like, you can't change that stuff in the garage beforehand. Only during the pit stop.
Okay. I like that idea. Only during the pit stop. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess I'll answer both of those for myself. I do feel like it has kind of changed the game of racing. It's taken me a little bit longer to kind of find my happiness. And I'm talking about the adjustments in the brake style. Because it's just, especially with how many options there are now, I kind of wish they would if they could limit maybe how many there is. I think it's 6 or 7 options for the front and the rear master cylinders. I think it's 7. I think that should be adjusted to maybe like 3. I think 7 is a little too much. It kind of takes the idea of a fixed race, because a fixed race for iRacing basically means you get in there and you do the race. And basically you're learning how to adjust to the track, adjust to the line, adjust maybe to just what the car is doing, blah blah blah. When you go, again, in my opinion, when you have too many options, and I feel like you're kind of leaning back toward the open side, and then you're gonna have people complaining, oh well, I don't know the difference between each one, what should I do, blah blah blah. Because I mean, if you look at what we have now, we have the steering pinion, or I guess I'd say what we had before the build. So we had the steering pinion, we had the brake bias, and whoa, William, careful on that re-entry on the track. But anyway, so you had brake bias, offset, and you had the steering pinion. So those were the 3 things that you had. With the build, it gave you the front and rear adjustability of the master cylinders, and then with each master cylinder, now you have 7 options. So now I feel like if we had like a difficulty scale, I would say the fix was medium. I would say now it's like medium to hard now, because now you have to understand what those things do. Now you have to test more on what each master cylinder adjustment does. So now it's like, okay, I'm gonna run a 1-inch in the front and 15/16 I think in the rear or something like that. Let's try that. You run 10-15 laps of that. Nope, don't like that. Okay, let's go try something else. So now it's like you're kind of leaning more back toward the testing a lot to try and find the right package. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do all that testing. Whatever, you could just go with whatever the fixed setup gives you, and you could just go on your merry way, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people do at this point. But if you want to now get the most out of it, I feel like you got to put even more time into it now. So even though I am for more adjustability, I still have to look at it from a time consuming point, which is it's a lot more time consuming now because there's a lot more that you actually have to test and tune and try this and try that compared to where it was just three things, and those three things had limited options. So
I would say I'm gonna counteract that.
Okay.
So you already know from us before this change was made how much time and practice we put into it, just with the three settings we had previous.
Yep. Right.
Now, in my opinion, our practice time has not changed. In my opinion, it's basically been the same since the change. Like, it's not like we're putting an extra 3 to 5 hours into it trying to figure out the master cylinders. It's, to me, I would agree with what you have to say with it starting to become too much. Maybe if, like you said, you do what I was talking about with doing tire pressures and maybe getting the wedge adjustment during the pit stop kind of thing. Yes, then I kind of agree. Yeah, you're probably maybe getting the realm of maybe too much for most people. But the master cylinders, to me, it's just part of the brake bias. That's all I see it as. It's just brake bias, basically, and that's really all it is. And it's ultimately driver preference, and we see that already. I mean, for the most part, we all run fairly close to the same master cylinders, but we all have our own tweaks towards it because of a feel that we're all searching for. So, like I said, I don't think for me personally, I feel like it hasn't added a whole lot of time from a practice standpoint or an understanding standpoint, just because it's, like I said, it's basically, in my mind, it's just brake bias. That's all it really is.
Respectfully decline. No, I'm joking. No, I hear you. I hear you. I guess.
And also iRacing, I mean, they do give pretty good descriptions of like what those do. So
yeah, I guess I'm just looking at it from not necessarily our side, because I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. You're the one who explained the damn differences to me, because I had no clue what the differences are. Like, I'm a car guy, but when you're talking about master cylinder look, okay, I know how to do the basics. I know how to install stuff. But when you start to get to the engineering side of that type of, I don't know anything about that. That's so I'm glad that you could explain that. And yes, I agree. iRacing does give good descriptions, but I think honestly, if we didn't have somebody on the team who really understood the differences, I say, like, for somebody who just happens to do a fixed race in this car, I guarantee you they have no idea what the hell that does, and holy what a dive bomb. I can guarantee you that they're not going to either mess with it or they're not going to really know about it. And that's kind of my whole point. Like, I wasn't saying it for us as a team. I think it definitely helps us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but more than likely, that average person's probably not even going to mess with the freaking steering pinion brake bias a whole lot. Like, most people don't probably touch that a whole lot when they do the fixed racing stuff. It's not until you get up until, honestly, our class of racing, basically, with our I rating and the way RSR is, because once you're up that high in I rating, or most of these guys are good enough, like you start. Everyone basically knows what these changes do for the most part. So it's kind of like a natural thing where, like, we'll take Casey Kerwin for example. He pretty much runs basically the same settings almost every track he goes to. Obviously, the brake bias might be slightly different, but I think he always almost runs like the same pinion everywhere, because it's just a comfort thing he likes. And it's so those settings typically don't change for most people, just because it's a comfort thing. So ultimately, I think the master cylinders is the same way. I imagine probably most tracks you're going to be able to run the same master cylinders once you figure it out. And obviously, we're all fast enough drivers, and we all love this sim that we'll put the time in no matter what. So for your average person, like I said, they're not going to care. They're just going to show up and race. So either way, I don't think it changes anything.
Okay. I respect your response, sir. And see, I was basically told from a fan that said, "Hey, why does it always seem like you guys all agree on the same thing all the time?" I'm like, no, we don't. So for the fan that said that, here you go. That's kind of the idea, is how we are different. We are, all three of us have our own ideas of, how we go about things or how things should be done, especially when it comes to racing. Like, for the most part, we're all on the same page, but it's the little intricate things that we all have our, like, own opinion on and stuff like that. So we're different, but when it comes to a lot of things, we are similar, and we all kind of think alike. So I will say that.
I mean, you could say it's probably the setup builder in me coming out.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, you did build a lot of setups, so yeah, that's, like I said, I can respect that, and I can understand that from your point of view. I was just mainly speaking from the newcomer. Or
hot topic here.
Okay.
I discussed many times that I'm to the point now where, yes, I love building open sets, but I am to the conclusion that Road to Pro should be fixed setups now.
Yes, we did talk about that. Yep.
But in my opinion, though, if we're going to do fixed sets, I feel like we should have the abilities, more options, to kind of separate ourselves a little bit, but not have to put in the hours like the Coke drivers do. Like, the amount of hours they have to put in towards a setup is just ridiculous. And I mean, when you can just drive the fixed set, and maybe make a handful of changes that you're allowed. Obviously, the master cylinders. Oh, that's not good. The master cylinder.
Really?
Yeah. The master cylinders and stuff give you that more ability for car feel and all that good stuff. And that's why I was going down the realm of, during pit stops, allowing us to make tire pressure changes or even wet changes. So I think if we had those options, I would definitely be down for just fixed racing for Road to Pro Series and even in the Coke Series itself.
Okay. Yes, we had talked about that. I don't know how some of the Coke drivers, if they listen to this, how they might feel about that. But I mean, I have heard that some drivers do believe there should be a Coke Series there should be a fixed series, maybe with limited adjustability, and I kind of agree with that. I ran in the Coke Series, and the amount of time that you have to put into practice, and that you're away from doing things that you need to do, your own responsibilities, it's a lot. It's like having another job. If you already have one, now it's your second job. So yeah, I guess if there was a way to kind of take a little bit away from the time-consuming part and maybe kind of give it back to the drivers, maybe some of the drivers, maybe it will enjoy it more. Because unfortunately, I've heard that some drivers don't. I think Kevin King was kind of mentioning that or kind of hinting that when he was on. Not all the Coke drivers are happy with, the way how they have to practice, the way how they have to race. I mean, honestly, it is what it is type of situation. I mean, nothing you're gonna do about it. I mean, you are racing for $300,000, so that, it's not gonna be easy. But at the same time, some of those guys are putting in 8 hours a day of practice, of trying different settings, trying different setups, and then you also have some guys from when I ran who were buying setups, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean that's a whole nother story. So yeah, I'm okay with, if that were to happen. I think I would kind of love to see how that would work out for probably a season, and just really see maybe who are the people who go to the top, because there are some people like Malik Ray comes to mind, Casey Kerwin, just another guy I can't think of his name, that when we used to do a pickup races, when they were in it, they were fast. They were top 3 pretty much every race. And I'm not saying that they can't do it with the open setup, but I think for them it just makes it that much harder with the open setups for them to try and go up there and contend for wins week in and week out. And it kind of maybe brings a more, what does NASCAR say? They built the car to make it more level playing. Maybe that's what iRacing does. Maybe they go the fixed route and make it a more level playing field, kind of taking the finding the bugs and the finding the little things to try to figure out how can I be just a little bit faster than the other car or the other team, and then make it basically built off of talent.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the mindset behind it. One, you take away the amount of hours people have to put into a setup, both on the Road to Pro Series, getting into the Coke Series, and then obviously for the Coke Series. Like, the amount of time you have to put in towards that stuff is ridiculous. And then on top of it, the time you put into it, I mean, you see it in the Coke races or even in the Road to Pro races, trying to make it. Hell, you could go turn 1, lap 1, and completely get wrecked by some idiot, honestly. Which then just basically negated your many, many hours you just worked on that setup for basically nothing. So I'm definitely more towards the fixed series. That, and like you were just saying, I think once you start adding some of the more adjustments, it's more, I think, driver based. You get to see who the real drivers are, in my opinion. So
yeah,
not somebody who can drive, but maybe or just have the best setups in the freaking world on the sim and are able to put the car wherever they want with no issue.
True that, son. I'm with you on that one.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I say, does Nick have any thoughts on that?
No, you pretty much summed it up perfectly. I mean, it doesn't really, as far as adjustability goes, I'll just keep racing. And I don't want it to go to the level where it's like an open setup, because I just don't like tweaking that much or have the time to tweak that much. So I think there's definitely a happy medium, like we already said.
Okay. All right. So what we got up next is our one and only clip from lap 1, turn 1. And there's quite a bit of different views. So let's get into it and let's break it down. All right, welcome back. Again, we have the clip up and running. We're going to ride along with Mr. Agnell Phillip. This is, again, the start of the race. This is lap 1, going into turn 1. and he saw an opening and just I I don't know if he actually would have made that corner without hitting six, but I will say that touching the grass definitely didn't help him being able to stop. So it sucks because as you'll see in the mini clips, there's at least maybe 8, 10 cars they got damaged from this, or in some way somehow got damaged. So it's a sucky situation. But I'll let you guys kind of give your thoughts. Start with six.
Yeah. My first thought, obviously, even during the race when it happened, is like, one, what the hell, and then two, I was like, it's lap one, turn one. We don't have cautions on freaking road courses, so it's like, why? I guess when my mindset is why put yourself in that risky situation. Like, truthfully, even the move Danson made, like, at least that was a lot cleaner because he actually had the run where Agnell kind of just threw it out to the side and just was trying to outbrake, I guess, Bradley, but didn't realize, I guess, the grass was that close. I don't know. But again, it's like, why? I feel like it's not hard to pass on road courses. And he was already fairly close to the front, so if he was fast enough to compete with Danson or whatever, I'm sure he would have definitely got there. But I know Agnell, I think apologized 2 or 3 times to me. I never responded back because I was still irritated about it and obviously my racing kind of showed it throughout that entire race. But I mean, I do accept his apology because for the most part he is usually a very clean racer, but it's dumb stuff like this. Like I said, it just makes me question why make that move.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I've probably made that same move before. And of course a pickup race, not a league race. But yeah, it sucks. Watching that from the different views, seeing how many cars are collected, knowing that it was turn one, lap one. I mean, I guess at least it wasn't like the situation with Noah Gragson and Sage Kerm today, which I didn't watch the race, but I saw what he did, which was, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take that dude out because I got tired of him. But I'll take out 12 other cars with me as well. So, at least we don't have any situation like that. I guess if we're going to look on the brighter side, we don't have a Noah Gragson in our race doing dumb shit like that.
I mean, it's nothing blatant or like anything to obviously completely wreck anybody, but it's just like I said, it's one of those moves. It's like, I guess I understand, but at the same time, it's like I said, it's a 31 lap race with no cautions. Like, you have plenty of time. You don't have to win this race in lap one, turn one. It's not like a freaking A-Fix race or an NIS race. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I hear you. Mr. Nick Silver, what are your thoughts on it, man?
Well, I think Six hit the nail on the head. It's something that you would think would be on frickin' Arca Break Weekly, showing the bottom split of A-Fix, somebody making a move like that. And, I'll put a disclaimer out there, that Agnell's a good driver. He's usually a very clean driver and don't have any issues with him. But, even normally clean drivers make stupid mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a stupid move that cost a lot of people a chance at a win. I was telling you guys off the air, it's freaking crazy how almost identical it looks to this, same dumb move that Jacques Villeneuve pulled in real life years ago. But I just, like you guys were saying, it's freaking turn one, lap one. Things get spread, things get single file, and you're going to have a chance to make a move, in the next few corners if you're really that much faster. So, why go bonsai like that? I don't know. I thought it was dumb, and it MJ and Six, and I'm sure the other drivers that got taken out put a lot of time and a lot of hours in, a lot of practice in to have a shot at winning this race, and to have it all go south with a turn one wreck is just pretty ridiculous. And then of course the old topic of not having cautions. Now they don't have a freaking shot at catching back up to the lead at all, so it was all for nothing essentially.
Yeah, well, I'll say that's a great example for having like some kind of caution at some point in these races, because it's like I said, I feel like myself and MJ don't know if we would have ever won the race from Danson, but like we definitely would have gave him a run for his money, because like I said, I actually feel like for once I actually had speed competitive enough with Danson for once, so I think that was the more salt in the wound when this actually happened. And then like as I'm driving up through the field and I see the pace that I have, that like even made me kind of more frustrated / irritated to know that I had the speed even with a minute of damage. Like that's the other crazy part.
Yeah, you and MJ were on a whole nother level. I thought that was pretty quick, and then next thing you know, well, of course, I went off the course and MJ passed me, and in the last 2 laps, I felt like something was really weird with the car. So I said, well, let me not throw away a top 5, and kind of really just backed it down, just try to finish the race, and you guys started to walk me down. So it, I do feel like both of you guys definitely could have probably finished second, third, and probably would have been between me and Kevin King, who finished 4th or 5th. But as far as if you guys don't get collected in that, so like I said, it would have been interesting. But shit happens as usual. I do agree, if a caution comes out, the I guess you wouldn't say the track was blocked, because it wasn't. I mean, there were still places to go toward the outside of 6, because he was sitting toward the middle of the corner. But I do feel like a caution should have been thrown, but I think they were also having problems with the broadcast, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So if you actually watch,
they would have thrown a yellow anyway. But
I know.
But there should be, this is a perfect example of, maybe we just have a rule out there that if it's a decent sized wreck, I mean, how hard is it? Look, if it was a caution in real life NASCAR on a road course, just look at it that way. Would this have brought out a caution in real life? Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, we throw a yellow. But yeah, one guy freaking spinning off into the gravel, that doesn't usually bring out a caution unless he gets stuck in real life, so we don't throw a caution. But
right.
Beating an old drum.
Yeah, that's where I agree. And I mean, there's not much more to say. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sure, a caution maybe doesn't fully help MJ and I, but at least we're not 20. I think, like I said, I was like 29, 30 seconds behind the leader when I finally got turned around.
Plus, you guys both had speed, and so if we got a caution, then there's some excitement for the spectators watching on YouTube to see you guys make your way through the field, without having it come from like 50 seconds back. Yeah, you're back in the pack, but you got a shot. I know Bowie doesn't like watching it, but a lot of people find it exciting when old AJ Allmendinger has to start in the back and work his way through the field to try to get the win. So, we could have our version of that here.
Look, yeah. I don't have, like y'all said, I don't have a problem with AJ. He's just, I don't know, he's just AJ, and it's like, he's alright. I mean, he's not Mr. Excitement to me.
He's pretty exciting.
I miss Marcos.
It's more exciting than watching Matt Danson dominate.
Oh, that's absolutely, I agree 100% with that. But I just miss my man Marcos, that's all. Marcos could do some damage on the road course as long as he didn't shut off the car
Yeah.
at Sonoma.
I mean, I will say, like, obviously I was mad at the whole situation of being wrecked and sent all the way to the back of the pack, but it was kind of fun driving up through the field.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, that part was probably fun. Cause you're probably, you probably all you see is red, so you're just like, I'm just gonna get back to the field. I'm just gonna get back to the field. Cause I don't think you had to pass him, didn't you? You had to pass Agno back.
I was catching him, but he actually wrecked himself before I ever got to him.
Of course.
So if I did get back to him, he was gonna get a nice little bump because I was, like I said, I was hot. Like I said, I felt bad for anybody who was in my way because I was not.
You weren't in your right mind.
I wasn't wasting any time. I was super pissed.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna, end this discussion on that note. I think we've kind of talked about this enough. So let's get into the results of the race and let's check them out. All right. So we got our results up from the race at Road America. I want to say congratulations to Matt Danson on winning his second race of the year, followed by Kevin King finishing P2. Michael Johnson, like I said, getting caught up in the turn 1 lap 1, coming all the way back to finish P3. Pretty damn good for him. Myself getting caught up in that, also barely hanging on to P4 because like Six said, it wasn't gonna be a couple laps and he was gonna probably be right there. Six finishing P5. Timothy Johnston finishing P6, Bradley Burke P7, Michael Laraya P8, David Cobb P9, Jaron Winemaster P10. Chris Raywell comes back and has a pretty good finish. He's been on a downward spiral. Good pickup for him, P11. Agno Phillip, who again was also caught up in the first lap 1, turn 1 incident, comes back and finishes 12th. Ross Cato with decent finishes P13. Nick Silver, as he told you before, passing Rick McBride on the last lap to finish P14. So good battle between them. Rick McBride finishes P15. William Smith, after self-spinning a couple times, still ends up finishing P16, which is not bad actually. Tall Wetmore, I know he had a couple spins. P17. Andrew, I believe, Andrew, who hit the back of Six's car, unfortunately got damaged from that, and unfortunately didn't really seem to have the speed after that. So not a very good day for him. Harry Grindle, P19. Braden Whitaker, P20. I will let you guys see the rest, as I'm only going to go through P20. So, for you guys, I guess I'll start with Nick this week. Does anybody stand out? Anybody that surprises you or anything like that?
I don't know. Not really. It looks like a typical finishing rundown for one of our road courses. Maybe a little surprised at Andrew finishing so poorly. I'm not off the top of my head, do I really remember how he's finished at the at COTA, but at least last year he was also fairly decent at the road courses, definitely better than 18th. I know Daniel Eberhard had another not good race. Talk about that every week, so I don't think he's getting any closer to that top 25 with that finish. But other than that, like I said, it just kind of looks like a normal, typical finishing order for one of our road course races.
Okay. Six.
Yeah, kind of agree with Nick. It's kind of typical road course finishes for most people, I think. Obviously, the only exception to that is Andrew, and then Cody, which unfortunately had that connection issue or whatever he had happen there towards the end of the race, which was very unfortunate because he was running second at the time. So, but yeah, on that, I would say it's kind of a typical road course race, as always.
Yeah, yeah. I would have to say I'm not gonna say Eberhard because we talk about him every week, so I'm pretty much done. Let's talk about Eberhard hopefully for the rest of the season, unless he
Right.
has a miraculous comeback, and then we'll talk about it again. Yeah, definitely a little surprised by Andrew, but again, like I said, I think his damage kind of hurt him, so why he really couldn't make up a lot of positions. Um, Cody Harris, yes, he fell out when he was running P2. I think, like I said, I think it was less than 10 laps to go. And for him to fall out, it kind of sucked. So he ended up finishing P23. I talked about Flat Out Motorsports last week, and how it looks like they were gonna be the next team to watch out for. Bradley Burke and Michael Laria finishing 7th and 8th. That's pretty good as far as their team points. But unfortunately, the other two drivers, Joseph Tice and Grant Davis, both didn't have really good races. So, as far as the team points wise, I believe it. They took a little bit of a hit. Let me take a look. Yeah, so they only had 80. A total of 83 points, but it only takes the top three. So they got a 30, a 29, and 11. And then let's see, both teams, we got a 33, 26, and a 23, and a 34, 32, and a 21. So both teams actually did fairly better than they did. And, it's good to see that, we are starting to pick it up a little bit on the points wise, and when we look at the standings, we can look at see where they are there at this point. But yeah, so that was a little bit surprising. I thought I could have swore Grant was a little bit better on the road course stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. And then Sam was I think you said Tice got in a wreck. I believe you said, Nick. And I know Sam, he was spinning and he was kind of all over the place. So it wasn't a very good night for the Flat Out group. But it's just one race, so I think we still need to continue to press on, and I think we still need to watch for them. I don't really see any other team, as collectively catching us three yet. But for right now, I still think that's the team that we need to look out for. So wow, that was I just realized that was race 18 of 35. That's crazy. We're getting close to playoff time.
Actually, I will say, now that I've been looking at really studying this, Timothy Johnston, I remember, actually stood out to me during the race. He found something, because usually him and I run next to each other about like the 12th, to 15th place positions during road course races, and I think that's what we were at COTA too. And so I noticed all of a sudden he had a whole bunch of speed this race, so that was pretty cool to see.
Okay. All right, that is a driver. We'll have to look out for the next road course. We got a couple more road courses, so interesting to see that. I will agree. I don't see him too often in the top 10 for road courses, but shout out to Timothy for getting it done. All right, so let's take a look at the standings here, and let's see, it's what we got here. So looks like for the most part the top four stays the same. So 6, Cody, Nick, and Kevin are still 1, 2, 3, 4. Myself and Andrew both pick up one spot from Sam, falling back to 7th. They got Bradley Burke picking up a spot over Agnell Phillip. Michael J. Johnson, he picks up 2 spots for his good finishing P3. Michael Laria finishing good as well, picks up another 2 spots. Timothy Johnson, who we just talked about, picked up 3. So there was a lot of positivity in the top 12. Thomas George, unfortunately, loses 3. Sean Castro loses 1. Tom Wetmore moves up a spot. And Connor Horn, unfortunately, did not show up, so he loses 5 spots. And he has a win. So, but I was gonna say, should he be concerned? But no, not really, because he would have to fall out to the top 25. So, and he should be he should be fine. Danson has 2 wins now, so he's good. Has P17 standings. Ross Cato, P18, William Smith, P19. They both lose spots, and Rick McBride will round out the top 20. And as you can see, the rest of the standings here. And again, I'm not going to go through them, but still, go ahead.
I'll say, what's the cutoff right now for playoffs?
I was looking earlier. I believe our own Sean Casto is final 16th spot at the moment.
I'd say you just have to sort it by wins.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Let's take a look.
Sort it by wins and eliminate Daniel.
And Liam.
Yeah.
Doesn't Liam have a?
No, Liam didn't win.
Oh, I thought Liam won.
Nope. So we go based off playoffs. The ones, like I said, they have to eliminate Eberhard. So technically, you have, what is that? I can't count right now. So that's 7 people with wins in the playoffs right now. So you have Cody Harris would be 8, Nick Silver 9th, myself 10th, Bradley Burke 11th, Michael Johnson 12th, Michael Lariah 13th, Timothy Johnson 14th, Thomas George 15th, and Sean Casto would be the 16th driver. Now, if you are looking at points, I mean, my concern is still seeing somebody that's far back than the top 16 actually win a race. That's really, honestly, my concern. Because if they win, it's going to change stuff up.
It's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen Tom Wetmore have some good speed at some tracks. He could get a win. He's outside the top 16. Chris is definitely capable. Truthfully, a lot of these guys are capable. I mean, we have a lot of wild card races coming up, as we'll talk about later on. Atlanta's coming up, which is basically a super speedway race now.
Don't remind me.
And then, of course, we have Daytona. We have another road course. Probably is going to be dancing, but you never know. A freak wreck could happen.
Yeah,
could spice that up. So there's definitely some possibilities. Someone outside the top 16 could hop in.
Okay. Did anybody, for any one of you guys, anybody stand out or anything like that? And I'll put it back to the positions.
Not really.
Yeah, I said not really. A lot of the guys that we just saw finished pretty well in this last race. I feel like a lot of the guys that you would expect to be working their way up towards the top 10 in points, you're starting to see kind of rise there. Obviously, there's some drivers further down the list, like you kind of expect to be maybe somewhere in the top 15 or somewhere near that top 16 in points, but just had some very bad luck so far this year, and unfortunately, I think might need some wins for them to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, like I said, that kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, our teammate Brian is sitting 10th. Or, I'm sorry, he's sitting 30th. And we know he can win if he doesn't get wrecked. I mean, he won Charlotte last year. We were talking about a race the other day, and it was RSR race back in the day, and he almost won Vegas. So, I mean, he can go out there and win. Chris can go out there and win. William can go out there and win. And let's just say 3 of those people take it. That's, that knocks out, Sean can go out there and win as well. But, that then knocks out 3 people. And it puts us possibly closer on that line of getting knocked out for us who don't have a win. So, I don't know. Like, it's getting, as I like to say, it's starting to get real. And I think they even said it in the broadcast, like, now's the time. If you don't got to win and there's no chance of you actually winning, you need to start pointing for every race going forward to the playoffs, because you're going to need every single point.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty close. We're 7 more races until playoffs. So,
yeah.
It's gonna start coming quick.
Yeah, it's about to get interesting. Definitely. All right. So with that, we are going to go into, of course, my favorite, power rankings. So let's get that pulled up for you guys. That's not supposed to be there. Well, sorry. Just ignore what's in the background. I don't know why that's there. Anyway, so, as you can see, thanks to Mr. Nick Silver, kind of dressing it up, spicing it up a little bit, to kind of make it a lot more interesting to look at. Even got our front numbers in there, and got the positives, who's moved up, who's moved down. So, thank you, Mr. Silver, for going ahead and doing that. There we go. Got that removed for you guys.
No problem.
So, as I'll go over it, we got power rankings, of course. 6 is still number 1 because nobody can seem to knock him off the totem pole for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what needs to happen, but I guess since he's up there, I guess let him stay up there. He's representing the life of a sim racer, so hey, I'm not mad at it. Kevin King picks up 2 spots for finishing, having his good race and finishing P2 at Run America. Silver is going to hold in P3. Harris is going to pick up 1, even though he had a bad finish, which is interesting. Which kind of tells me if he didn't have the bad finish, he probably would be sitting probably P2. But still interesting. Agnew Phillip, even with his issues, he still picks up 2. Sam Nieto loses 4 spots. He was sitting P2 last week. Which tells you how close the power ranking points are. Week in and week out, it only takes one little slip up, one bad race, and you drop from 4 spots. So he loses 4 spots. Andrew loses 1. I stay the same. Bradley Burke stays the same at P9 along with Lariah. Johnson picks up 1. Johnston picks up 3 spots. Tom Wetmore loses 2. Sean Castro stays the same at P14. Matt Danson picks up 5 spots in the power rankings. 5. That's the most I've seen since I've started doing the power rankings, which is pretty amazing. Thomas George loses 3. And that was our cutoff for technically for the playoffs. The ones who were looking in. 17th of Cato. 18th of Smith. Which is green. So did he move or did he not move up, Nick?
He moved up.
Okay, moved up. Okay.
I guess I forgot to put 1. He did move up 1.
Okay, cool. I just didn't know. I was like, did he move up or not? Okay, great. So
It's
Smith.
the first one. There's bound to be some bugs.
It's all good, man. All good. So William Smith and moves up to P18. Connor Horn loses 3 spots again, as we said earlier. He did not show up. And then Matt McBride picks up a spot and makes it into the top 20. So there's still a lot that can happen. As we stated, we got 7 more races. Until we are actually in the playoffs. But as I stated, I think this is a good measurement to see, okay, who are the people we need to look out for? I mean, could McBride come out and get a win? Maybe. He was fast at Gateway. There's a possibility for him to get a win. Connor Horn already has a win. Could he come back and snag another win? Then he moves up in the power rankings. So, the guys that are sitting outside of the top 16 could at any point get on a roll. I mean, if we're looking at it, Six has been on a roll since after Daytona. He's been on a roll. Kevin King has had an up and down season, but for the most part, he's been on the positive. Silver, you've been on a roll. Harris has had consistency all through the beginning, and then kind of fell off. Phillip has been one of the fastest cats in the league, but unfortunately only on a short run. I think he has 4 poles or 5 poles. So he's the hot lap king right now. He just got to figure out how to make it last past halfway to be able to get more than just one win. So again, anything could happen, and this is why I love the power rankings, because just because you had 2 good races, looking at Sam Nieto, doesn't mean that you're gonna hold that spot. You gotta have that consistency. You gotta build that consistency, which is what Six and Kevin King have been doing along with Silver. So just putting that out there. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody, but just saying, if y'all want to stay on, the top 5 in the power rankings, you guys gonna really have to step it up. So after all that, and I'm just rambling, apologize. Nick or Six, what do you guys think of the power rankings?
I think Matt's win sure helped him out. He was barely in the top 20 last week, and then bumps him all the way up to 15th. And then, Sam's horrible, no good day dropped him a ton of spots as well. Other than that, like you said, it just kind of seems like we were talking about the point standings, kind of seems like the cream is rising to the top when it's, coming to playoff time. Starting to see some names moving on up there.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. Obviously we see with Danson on this week's version of the power rankings. Obviously a win definitely helps. Moving up 5 spots for sure. But as you see with, like you were saying, Bowie, with the top 4, honestly, between myself, King, Silver, and then Harris, really, I would say us 4 are the most consistent out of the year. Just look between, I would say, Silver and Harris, that's 2 prime examples. Neither have a win yet, and theirs is honestly all based off just having really good, consistent top 10 finishes every week for the most part. So,
and that gives me hope. Since I don't have a win, just like, okay, if I can just get the consistency, then I'll be okay. But I need to continue to keep the consistency, and I think I'm kind of leading to that direction. Unfortunately, though, we do have to talk about the race coming up. But I'll let you guys finish what you got to say first, and then we'll get into that, because I think that's going to change everything.
But yeah, just to wrap it up, yeah, it's just ultimately, I think to be even in just the top 10. Even though you say you're not really having the consistency, and maybe even Andrew, I would say you can go maybe as far back as Sam with the consistency for some parts. I think Sam's issue is mostly, I think, the super speedway races and road courses is what hurts him.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get back to Andrew, obviously Andrew's had some ups and downs this year, either getting caught up in other stuff or just not finding the speed, which is very unusual from him, but he's been definitely better as we've moved on towards the playoffs, so as you would expect. And of course, yourself, Billy, is slowly catching onto the car and really starting to get on into your groove as well. And of course, Burke and Lariah, which is teammates with Sam. I would like to think with Sam's success lately, they're kind of getting that info from Sam, and it's helped them improve as well. So you're like Nick said, you're starting to see a lot of the guys you expect working their way up into the top 10, and it's going to be interesting once we get to the playoffs. That's for sure. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right. I'm playing devil's advocate. Are we looking at the top 16 right now who make the playoffs? Or are you going to kick some people out and put some people in?
Based off what we saw, I say no. I say there's definitely going to be 1 or 2 drivers that are out.
Okay.
That are currently in.
You want to call those drivers out?
No.
Come on, put yourself on the spot, man. Come on.
Not in that. We'd have to go back to the other page because I don't remember who's all in the near the bottom there.
Well, we certainly, Connor's there 19th. He's got the win. He's in the top 25, so we know at least he goes into the top 16.
Yep.
Because I don't think he's fallen out of the top 25. So somebody's ass out that's up there, near the cutoff.
I mean, look, if you need me to pull up the list, we can pull the list back up, because I would love to hear.
I think, I mean...
Yeah, so you'd have to pull
because we're not... Yeah, now I don't know because we're not looking at it, but if Rhett's not in the top 16, I think he works his way into it because he's had some speed at the regular tracks lately.
Let's see if I can get it back up. Hold on 1 second. If not, then I'll just tell you guys, but let me see if I can get it back up. I don't know if it's going to work. Yes, it did. Okay, so, yeah, there you go. So that's your...
Yep. Sorted by wins.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Okay. And then every
right,
week I'm gonna ask it to change. So
I'm gonna call out. I hate to say this.
Hey, it's just
I guess
your
Thomas
opinion.
George.
Okay. That he does not make the playoffs.
Yeah, he does not.
Okay.
I know he's had a good start to the season, but like I said, I think you're starting to see a lot of the faster drivers starting to find their consistency, getting to victory lane. So I think he gets bumped out. Honestly, I'm probably got to say our teammate Sean as well. I mean, unfortunately, I have not seen the consistency from him either lately, until he starts proving me wrong. But I think he's either been getting caught up in stuff or just not having great finishes lately. So,
Okay.
I'm going to say those 2 drivers.
Well, I mean, we got Tom in the top 16 in our power rankings, and he's right there, 17th, right behind Sean. I don't know, man. There's 2 guys, Tom and Rhett, who, at least from my observations, have both had speed the last few races. So I think they're turning it on maybe at the right time. So those are 2 guys I expect them to get into there, but who ends up out, it's anybody's guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely tight because, I mean, you just look at between 10th to Sean, which is in 14th there. What is that, a 20-point gap there, or 19-point gap? So
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
So
even from MJ out to the first guy out, Tom, is only about 30 points too. So it's
still tight.
Yeah, I mean,
tight.
honestly, like we were saying, I mean, we got drivers back there that could possibly get a win. And you have Tom, who's been, like I said, quick. Rhett, who's shown some speed. From our team, we definitely know Chris is capable of it. Brian. So it definitely could be interesting. And like I was saying, we have a lot of, like I like to call wild card races. So it could definitely get spicy as we get closer and closer, especially being Daytona's the final race going in the playoffs. That could be a wild race.
Yeah, that's why I said points. Now, if I get to a point where especially when we get to the point where, and I guess we're gonna have to do some calculations on that as well, because I do want to kind of show it so that way it shows like, hey, like for example, I would say that technically you're locked in 6. I would think that you're locked in with 4 wins. That you can't fall out of the top 25 at this point. I would think so. But again, I don't know. I don't know if that's mathematically. I would have to do the math on that. So
yeah, I have to do the math as well. But I'm pretty sure, I could probably miss every race to the playoffs and still make it.
Yeah. So, and I want to start getting
that's
that
not true.
Well.
Because you can't miss more than 5 races.
Correct.
And we still have 7 more. So
yeah.
I could run 2 more races and probably miss 5 and still be fine.
Yes. But I do want to get to that point where I think maybe, so probably with 5 races to go, we'll figure out who's locked in. And then to that way we can not focus on the guys who are locked in, but start to focus on the people who are not locked in and see what we think. Because like you said, a lot can come into play. I mean, those guys who are on the cut, right on the line, they can get a win. Like I said, that just changes everything. So, and since we're gonna say that, I guess this is a great segue to go into the next race, which is Atlanta. But unfortunately, it's not the Atlanta that we're all used to. It's now the super speedway crap that they call it racetrack. So, as we've always said, that Daytona and Talladega was a crapshoot. Well, now Atlanta is one as well. So, I'll start with Nick, because Nick is the most positive about this track coming up, since this will officially be the Life of a Sim Racer 206. Mind you, I chose that track before I knew about the change. If I knew that beforehand, I would not have picked Atlanta. But anyway, on positive direction, Mr. Silver, what are your thoughts on the new Atlanta coming up?
Well, I haven't personally driven any laps yet on it.
It's BS.
But from
okay, I'm joking. Go ahead.
But from what we saw in real life, with the first race there a couple months ago, it'll be an entertaining race. So it'll be good, coming from a road course going to this race that should have a lot of excitement for the people watching on YouTube. I'm trying, like you said, I'm just trying to be positive. Hopefully it's exciting. Hopefully it's fun for us to race. Six has been saying it's decently fun. I don't like running super speedways anymore. I hate super speedway racing. I mean, I like watching it, but I hate participating in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little nervous. I'm going to come away from this one kind of pissed off. But, like you said, I'm just trying to be positive. Hopefully it's fun. And hopefully we have a shot to win.
Okay. I love your positivity. Because I have none for that track, okay? Absolutely none. They should have left that shit alone. But I digress. Mr. Six? What are your thoughts on the new Atlanta, sir?
I'm in the boat of burn the track down, go back to the way it was.
Yay.
But at the same time,
no but.
There's a but.
Oh my god.
Because when obviously this was first announced from a real life standpoint that they made this change, is like, why Why? We don't need more super speedway racing. But I guess where my butt comes into is after watching the race and now actually trying it for the first time on iRacing, it's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. A little bit of practice I had with it. I did a little test race with it, and I think it was like 30 cars of us that were in there, just trying it out and seeing what it's all about. And it's a weird feeling. It's definitely super speedway racing to a certain extent, but it's a different feeling. It's very fast paced, a lot faster than Daytona and Talladega. Like, just the sensation of speed is actually ridiculous around that track, because it seems like you're just flying around through those corners, like faster than you should be able to. And the moves that you have to make around other cars and the runs that you get on people are huge. Like, typically at Daytona and Talladega, you can probably block most runs. Based on the little bit of testing I've done so far, if you try and block a run, you're probably wrecking the field. Because they're just so fast, and there's honestly, I don't even know if you can react to it quick enough if you do notice the run's coming. That's how fast they are. I will say the only caveat and the downside from iRacing standpoint is our side draft is too strong. So I can tell you now, we're probably going to have a lot of wrecks due to people just side drafting the living crap out of each other during our race, probably. Just because it has that big of effect on it, especially with the lines and especially the way the momentum works around that track. Side draft is a big game changer on that track. So, like I said, I don't get me wrong, like, I rather still have the old version of Atlanta, the driver's version. But like I said, the way this feels, I still feel like it's in the driver's hands. Like, I feel like I don't have to rely on other drivers to get me to the lead. I feel like the way this Atlanta version of the package is, I can actually throw my car in any place on the track to further my advancement to the lead. I'm sure you probably still need a little bit of help in some draft, but for the most part, from what I could tell, I was able to get my way up to the front without really needing a ton of help. So I have some positives from that standpoint, but obviously we won't know until we do some races with it. And luckily we're back on schedule, so we actually get to do some official racing this week coming up. So I'm sure I'll do either an NIS or an AFIX at some point, just to maybe see what it's all about and see if I still like it, and we'll go from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think you guys already know my thoughts on it, so I'm not gonna go into it. If when I found out that they had changed it, I will say, if you guys know the meme, if you guys can picture it, if I can find it, I'll show it to you guys when I edit the video. But the meme when I think it was The Office, and the guy's like, no, that's basically like my whole mind frame when I was seeing that iRacing was changing Atlanta. So, and it's not that, and I know everybody's probably like, well, just give it a chance, like, you have no idea how it's gonna race, yada yada yada. Yes, I know that. I will give it a chance. I have to race it no matter what. My concern with this is that it is a super speedway, and my luck on super speedways are not very good. Why? Because I always get caught in somebody else's stuff, and I would rather skip that race honestly am rather put Chicagoland in its place. I still don't understand why we don't want Chicagoland. I know it's not on the schedule anymore, but give us Chicagoland. But I don't know. I just feel like we got Daytona and we got Talladega and now we got Atlanta. Like these super speedway races are just like, yes, they're entertaining to watch. I'll take a note out of what Nick said. Just the opposite. They're entertaining to watch. They suck to race in 9 times out of 10. Now, of course, there are some people who love super speedway racing, but I've never been that person. I don't like having to pray and hope that the person I'm pushing doesn't get net coded and turn into the field and then bounces off of that person and hits me, or that somebody else doesn't have that same issue. So it's just it's a lot of dealing with hoping that the race goes as planned. And I understand that, you know, no race can go as planned. You know, stuff happens. I get that. But when it comes to the super speedways, a lot of stuff can happen. And it's just, the majority of stuff is just out of your hands. And you can't do anything about it. And you're just, you know, you could be leading and just get turned from the lead. So the other problem is you're not safe anywhere you go, whether you're up front, whether you're in the back, whether you're in the middle of the field. It's just chaos everywhere. And with how, and I did practice Atlanta. I did run some laps there just to kind of get an idea, and just how tight. I mean, you could run 3 wide easily, but like Six said, it feels like you are moving so fast through the corner that any little wrong movement, there's the field. And now, again, I gotta rely and hope and pray that the person that's forcing it 3 wide, or is that, you know, doesn't blink, doesn't have connection issues, doesn't have netcode issues. It's just too much. Too many things can happen at a super speedway, and I've never liked that while being in a race. Like I said, I don't mind watching it. It can be boring at times, but you know, when they have good and they're pushing and they're getting sideways and that type of stuff, that's exciting to watch. I just don't want to be in it. So that's my gripe on it. I'm pretty sure 75% of the RSR people don't have a problem with super speedways, but that's just my issues with it.
I definitely agree with you. But that's where I go back to, I mean, yes, you're never going to get away from, at least with this version of Atlanta, you're not going to get away from the one guy who makes a mistake possibly taking the whole field. That's one downside to this kind of racing. I used to like super speedway racing with Daytona, Talladega, but over the years, I've not been as fond of it lately. I really enjoyed it back in the day when we used to be able to actually tandem race.
Yes,
I actually like that more. I like that more than the pack racing.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we still had that, but it is what it is. But like I was saying earlier, I think this version of super speedway racing is just a different animal. Like I said, I did I think it was like 20 laps, and I think you said you were getting tight the run you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but actually,
I was. I mean, for me, I was. I don't know the weather or anything like that. I just know I was really tucked up behind the guy, trying to push him around the track, because on super speedways, I mean, that's what you do. You get behind the guy, you push him through the corner, you push him on the straightaways, and that tri-oval is tricky because technically you can't go below that line on the. It's not even a tri-oval. I don't know what that you want to call it. I guess a pentagon, half pentagon. I guess I don't know. But just go the way how you have to kind of maneuver that. And then it's just like you got people like if you're trying to run the bottom, I think we talked about this before. If you're trying to run the bottom, you're just scrubbing. It just feels like it's so tight on the bottom, but at the same time, that is the quicker way around the track. So yes, you'll be fast, but I feel like you're gonna heat up that right front because you're tucked up right behind somebody. So I don't know how this race is really gonna go because you have nowhere to go.
Well, we obviously we don't know how it's going to play out, and obviously, but like you said, you were just saying you were tight, but you were tucked up behind somebody for most of your run. Where like me, I was battling hard. Yeah, there was a couple times where I think I was behind a couple cars, but like the little bit of test session I did, I was actually mostly leading my line or multiple lines. And by lap 20, I was actually starting to get really loose. I actually had to start lifting and actually sort of driving the car. I couldn't just keep it planted and just basically mind-numbing, just turn the car and just keep doing what I'm doing, like your typical Daytona Talladega. You actually had to start driving the car, but unfortunately, that's 20 laps into the run. So if we get that far into the run, I actually think the racing could start getting really good after that. Because then you'll have the people who either burnt the right front off the car or burnt the right rear off the car, just depending on how they're driving the track at that time. And I think we saw that in the actual Cup race that when they ran there a handful of weeks ago. How about 20 laps into the run, most guys were starting to get loose or tight. So it kind of reminds me of, I think Nick said it, it's like kind of old school Daytona, where back when there was really bumpy and slick, you actually had to lift. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm actually kind of, like I said, in some ways I'm kind of looking forward to it. I agree with you, Billy. Like, I would obviously prefer the old Atlanta to actually be just racing instead of being packed up, but I think this is a whole different aspect to a super speedway race. I don't think it's going to be our traditional super speedway race, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, my last concern, and then we'll kind of end it on this. My last concern, unless Nick has something else to say, in real life, you know, they said they wanted to do this. They said they created this track based on the 550 package, but you know, at the beginning of the year, NASCAR, you know, and the drivers got together and said, hey, the 550 package is not going to work with this new car. We got to go more horsepower. So they went to the 670. So my concern is if this track is a success, then we're going to see more tracks move to this. And that, honestly, that scares me. Like, I could, and I know, don't hurt me, Nick, but I literally could see Auto Club becoming this.
No.
This is where I disagree. And if they, I think this was actually a topic on Sirius XM, the morning drive at one point. They having this discussion, basically either NASCAR or TV or tracks just make the same mistake, and hopefully they learn from it. But it was like back in the day, we had our first night race, and then like they made every track a night race, and then it became too many, and now you see that like there's only a handful of night races now, which I agree, there should only be a handful. It shouldn't be like half the schedule.
Nashville is definitely one that needs to be a night race, but go ahead.
But that goes back to, I'm in the mindset of, I guess and you look at it, okay, mile and a halfs were a thing. And then like every freaking track out of the woodworks with a mile and a half on it was like, come to NASCAR. So like half our schedule was mile and a halfs. Well, fans finally opened up and it's like, we don't like this kind of racing. It's too much, or at least too much of it. And now you're starting to see a more of a mixture, evenness, I guess you put it. Like there's a good mixture of mile and a halfs now, some short tracks, road courses. I would say we're at the maximum of like super speedway type tracks. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would say Daytona and Talladega was always like, yeah, I'm good with the 4, but now with Atlanta sort of being that type of racing, it's like I'm definitely like there should never be another track like that done. So I hope, I like to think and hope that no other track's going to do something similar to this. Yes, it's definitely exciting to watch, but I don't want to see more of it. It's kind of like Bristol Dirt. Like maybe another dirt race added to the schedule, but not much more than that. Like you can't have too much of a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. Nick, did you have any last words on that?
Nope. I think we got a good mix of tracks right now. Definitely don't need any more super speedways. I don't think Auto Club, they've been kicking around the idea of changing it to a short track. I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know if that's actually going to happen now after the good race that they had earlier this year. Plus, if they keep, whether it's the Clash or if they just end up doing a race there, but having the short track at the Coliseum, I think that was a success. And if they keep going there, then there's really no need.
Yeah, that's a good point. I keep forgetting about the Coliseum because I've never ran there on iRacing. So I guess one day I'll have to try that track out and really see how that is. Get some pointers from Mr. Six, who would have won that race by far. But okay, so that's pretty much it. So of course we got to thank our sponsors: Digital-Motorsports, Elwood Designs, Battle Beaver, and Boosted. If you like what you're hearing, please like, comment, and subscribe. I should probably be saying that every episode, but I forget to say it. So please leave your comments down below. We can always have a conversation, and if we do, then we can kind of bring it up for the next episode. So that'll be something we could talk about as well. So as far as Six, anybody you want to thank or give a shout out to?
As always, the channel Life of Sim Racer. Elwood Designs always with the amazing paint schemes. And obviously the team, all the hard work we put in during the week for these races. So just need to keep it up and continue on to the playoffs.
Yes. Nick?
Just the usual shout out to Race Labs and Elwood Designs. This show, Life of a Sim Racer, everybody at Keeping It Real, and thank you to RSR. I know we give Evan a little bit of crap, talk about what the league can improve on, but it's because we deep down like racing here and we just want to see it succeed and get better.
Oh, no doubt, absolutely. And
amen to that.
Yes. Also, again, reminder: Life of a Sim Racer 206 next week. All right, not this coming Monday. We're off again.
Can we pull off the double? We won the first one.
Hey, I mean, we could. I mean, it's enough of us that, like I said, if one of us, whether it's a William, a Brian, Chris, Sean, MJ, myself, one of us wins. I mean, that's takes another spot from somebody, and give us props because we've won two. The team won 2 of the Life of a Sim Racer races, sponsored races. So, hey, and if that happens, maybe I should start sponsoring some for next year. I don't know. We'll think about that. But yeah. So again, we are off this coming Monday. So I don't know if we will have a podcast next for the next. I guess that would be recording on Saturday and then put out on Monday. So I don't know for that. So but definitely look out for this one. This one will be coming out on this coming Monday on the holiday. So gotta definitely wish everybody a happy holiday, happy 4th of July. Make sure you eat lots of cookout food, enjoy yourselves, enjoy life, because life is short. Please be safe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.